I understand the need for media to ask questions, but this angst that is rolled into this is what they said in the meeting, and this is what the United States conceded, and this is what they gave to Russia. The administration has been pretty buttoned up on what was actually discussed in the meetings, and it feels like there's a lot of jumping to conclusions about what did and didn't happen from people that weren't there.
Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense that goes on with these things. A simple way to think about it is it took us 2 years to get to peace in Vietnam, right? In a war that lasted not quite as long, but these things are not easy, right? And the idea that you have some insight into it if you're not actually sitting in the room when people are talking, it's just crazy. You just don't, right? You know what they tell you in press conferences. And I thought the president was pretty clear in his press conference on the way back. He said, look, this is the first step in a long process, and, we're probably going to need to talk about a ceasefire. We're probably going to need to talk about some land, and we're going to need to talk about, some guarantees that Ukraine's not going to be invaded again. I'm not sure how he could have been clearer, to be honest with you.
Well, and I go back to the interview that he did on Air Force One with Brett Baer before the meeting began, where he kind of laid out his plan going into the meeting, and he said, look, there's going to be a second meeting. This is a first meeting. Zelensky has to be part of any discussions because we are not negotiating for Ukraine. They're going to have to negotiate that on themselves. It feels like the whole "I'll walk out of the meeting" was taken out of context. What was the president's point? Not if Vladimir is not engaging, then I'll walk out. If this just feels like a complete waste of time, as opposed to if we don't get a ceasefire today, then I'm going to walk out.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. He definitely said, look, if this thing's a bust, I'm going to know within the first couple of minutes.